Hi everyone, welcome back. This week we're going to try to keep pushing forward on the truck and get even closer to this thing being a working vehicle on its own. Folks, thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Please consider subscribing if you haven't yet already, because that helps a ton in terms of the algorithm and other things that Google, who owns YouTube, gets to give you a little bit more of a push so that you can get a new subscriber base, so that you can be found by new people. It helps a lot, trust me. It's free, and it does help a ton just by hitting the subscribe button and sharing amongst your friends. Sharing helps a ton, I'm not kidding. A direct way that you can help is by going to GleasonBrosRacing.com. We have race team merch, and you see me point at those trophies every week because, yes, we do have a race car if you're new to the channel. It is currently safe in the trailer. I hope it's safe in the trailer. I go in there and check on it, and I have made sure to scrape 2 blizzards worth of snow off of the roof of the trailer so it wouldn't collapse like my shed in the side yard kind of did, which I don't think I showed you guys. But we have race team shirts, we have novelty shirts, we have hats, we have stickers, we have koozies, we have tumblers, we have a lot of stuff over there. I'm working on more designs currently, but go check it out. It's affordable. Shipping is a little slow, but that's not up to me, so just kind of know that ahead of time. So GleasonBrosRacing.com. It's freezing in here. Luckily, I don't want to say it out loud, but we might be out of the woods in terms of snow pretty soon, because not this week, but next week, it's looking like it might be 60 degrees out for a few days, so we might see the end of the tunnel here. But I'm back on the truck, and unfortunately, a lot of the major stuff that I have to get done is going to have to wait a week because I don't have parts and they're not going to be here for a minute. If you saw the last video, you saw us put the lights in, get the front clip all on, get the running lights working. We have all that stuff going for us, so at least that works. The running lights work, everything works. The only thing that doesn't work are the brake lights and turn signals. Now, we figured out that the brake light switch is fine, but we don't have turn signals because this turn signal stock in here, that was a cheap $17 piece of crap I bought off of Amazon, just doesn't work. And I wired it up exactly as the cheap directions told me to, except I didn't know how to wire up the flasher because it doesn't tell you what direction that's facing. Is it facing you or facing away from you? So I think we smoked that. I have another one coming that's a little bit better quality, but it's not going to be here until basically the end of this video. So we have to find other things to do. And if you look in the interior here, there's plenty to do. There's a hole there, there's a hole there, there's a hole there, there's a hole there. We also have to get this completely cleaned out. Look, it's disgusting. I mean, look, it is dirty as heck. It is disgusting. I would love to start getting some of that sound deadening material out and that carpet and just start kind of spiffing her up and making her a lot more roadworthy. Like, let's get the door cards on. Let's get the door handles on. Let's see if we can get the windows working. That would be sweet. I know the vent windows work, which is really cool. But we got to just kind of start finishing it up. And this stuff needs to get done, so we might as well just add it to the list. Now, right off the top here, I'm just going to tell you that I want this truck done within the next week or 2. And done is a really loose term. What I really want is I want it to be complete enough that we can take it and just kind of put it somewhere without worrying about it. Like, maybe I could take it and roll it out into a corner of the yard and put a tarp or 2 over it just to kind of keep it safe as it sits out there, and we can roll the race car in here. Now, the race car, I don't know when it's going to get back in here, but it needs to get in here pretty darn soon because I'm going to be on vacation for a week. 1 week before we go racing at Stafford. So we need to get the body on it. We need to get it put back together. It's not really a part, but there's a few things that we just kind of have to fix. So I want that thing in here. But this thing, we got to get it done. And if we're waiting on parts, we might as well do the secondary stuff. One more thing, we need to tune it. We got to do something about the distributor. We'll check the timing. and we need to tune the carburetor to at least make it run a little bit better so that it's a lot more reliable when we go to try to at least just start it up and make sure the thing moves. We know it moves. We've done that in the previous video. I know that the brakes work, even though they feel like crap, but we just got to get it to a point where we can turn the key after pumping the gas a couple times and make it run. We know that the choke works because I plugged a jumper wire into that. And actually, here it is. And at least I can tune on it. Now, these big race cams, which this is an old race motor, so it's got a nasty cam in it, they don't run very well. So I think what we're going to do is I'm going to unhook the vacuum advance off the carburetor or the distributor from the, they're looped together. And I'm going to just try to fix the advance that's in that distributor because I think the springs in it might be factory. They're really heavy. I think if we put like a Moroso counterweight kit so it can't keep advancing past its point of where the weights stop. I'll show you what I mean by that in a second because you're probably like, what do you mean? It'll stop eventually. It's like, I don't know, on cheaper ones, the counterweights kind of will just roll over and just keep going until they hit, so they'll advance way past where they should, whereas the Moroso counterweights have a notch cut into them so that once you hit full advance, that's pretty much it. So I'm going to try light springs because this motor has always kind of liked having light springs and being up to timing faster, and that might help with idle. I can turn a lot of the carburetor down a little bit if we get a little initial timing put into this thing. I think tuning on it's going to wait a day or two when today's going to be the coldest day of the week, so I don't feel like having the door open. We'll get it tuned up when we get a little bit more warmth outside in the next couple days. But I think today we'll get to the interior and we'll start cleaning it up. I'm going to go grab a can of adhesive, which I hope we can use. And I want to put some of that in sound deadening material down. And once we get that down, I would love to start just kind of spray adhesive the top of it and then lay some carpet over it. And when I say carpet, that's a very loose term. This is the cheap eBay carpet that I have. It is absolutely not really much more than if you built a speaker box and just wanted to put felt over it, that's pretty much it. They kind of sold it as carpet. It is not. But you know what? It's better than nothing. It's better than that blue down there. So I'm kind of hoping that we can get this thing vacuumed up, cleaned out a little bit. Oh, I also have some door seal material that I got off of TikTok shop. So I'll probably be wiping down this thing. I don't know if I want to put it on this side of the door or this side of the door, but whatever's cleanest, I'm going to put it on. Probably this side. I'll clean this up pretty good. At least when we shut it, it'll keep rain from falling in. That's really all I care about. If we can keep the interior from getting wet, that's kind of job one. All right, that took a minute. I decided to take a couple of license plates and plug up a few holes because it was easy and they won't rot. Then I saw how much kind of surface rust there was in here. So I took a screwdriver and then a wire brush and I chipped a lot of it out of here and just kind of cleaned it up a bit. And I said, you know what, that looks like crap. So I put 2 coats of Rust-Oleum over it. I'm gonna let that dry overnight and then come back and start laying in a whole bunch of sound deadening material because, like I said, if I can do anything to keep the rattle out of this thing, it's not going to be quiet. But if I can make it a little bit more livable, a little more comfortable in any way, Sure, that would be nice, because who wants to ride around in a piece of crap, right? If we spit shine this thing a little bit, a lot of this color and a lot of this garbage is going to clean right up, and it'll be nice. It genuinely will be a nice rig to get into and kind of go around and have fun, but I'll let this place air out for a little bit. I genuinely hate waiting for parts because it just delays progress. Clearly, obviously, dumb answer, but I think everybody agrees with me on that. And if we can get this thing at least tidied up and finish up a bunch of stuff that we were going to do at the end now, because we don't have anything else to do, work is work. And as long as you get it done, then at least you'll be moving forward. So I think I'll save what little brain cells I have left, get out of this fume-infested garage, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay, it is the next day. It is actually a lovely 50-something degrees out here in Connecticut, and I'm battling a lot more than just the elements right now. It is just flood-mageddon over here. I got my shovels out. It is real bad, because this garage, you can tell, slopes to this corner, and it's just running in from all angles. I got a trench dug about as far as I could get, and at least it's stopping all the dripping stuff from backfeeding in, but this stuff is not stopping, so I guess I'll just have to live with it until at least the snow melts, which really sucks. However, I'm getting kind of antsy here. I would like to get this thing tuned up a little bit better and at least be able to run properly whenever I turn the key. Now, I went ahead and I adjusted on some of the spring in the advanced mechanism, and I might play around with a timing light just to see if the vacuum advance works or if it does even close to the right thing and run properly. Now, I also took another half turn out of the what do you call them? Not air bleeds, idle mixture screws. Yeah, that, because again, this isn't a street cam, so it's going to have weird vacuum. It's going to have weird idle, but I just want it to be consistent. That would be nice. Not have it be searching for its own idle speed or whatever the heck it's doing right now. So what I want to do is get this thing fired up on this lovely day while my neighbors are out using chainsaws, so I don't feel bad about making too much noise. And let's try to get this thing at least to fire up good and to idle okay. At least I had the foresight to keep everything that is sensitive, at least that rag's not very, off of the watery ground, like my expensive timing light. So let's get this thing hooked up. Hook that up. Choke's hooked up. Wire's in the way of that. Everything's clear of the exhaust, it looks like. At least I can see the timing mark very easily. All right, let's go for an ultra cold start. I did hook up the throttle. Wait a minute. When I had the distributor off, did I hook it back up again? Why am I so bad at that? You'd think I work on a race car or something and that this is, really kind of crucial stuff that you gotta have in order for the car to run. Let's try it again. Oh, she didn't like that. Ah. That's not good. Okay, carb's pissed off. Now when I hit the throttle, it dies. Didn't do that before. Yeah, I don't get it. This thing just doesn't run. It used to run just fine. Now it doesn't. back to where it was. Yeah, we got some other issue, I think. I might have the accelerator pump a little aggressive on this. Well, that went well. Still haven't hooked up the overflow tank yet, and that shows because it's now everywhere. But I finally got it to a point that when it warmed up, now it actually runs. But when it's not warmed up, it just does not want to run. I don't know what the deal is. It's just maybe she needs some plugs and a nice tune-up. That would probably help her a lot. I didn't get a chance to check the vacuum, what do you call it, advance there. Well, probably because I don't trust a garbage Chinese distributor to work properly. So I don't know where that distributor actually came from, but yeah, this is annoying because anytime the thing gains pressure, it blows out the overflow now, which is really annoying because it never did that before until I burped it and topped it off. So now that it's completely topped off, now it's exercising its own demon. So I think I'll geez, I don't really know at this point. Maybe I'll hook up the overflow so I don't have to deal with this anymore. Alright, I got me a puke tank installed for now because I can't find the one that came with my dad's truck that he bought. Of course, why would I? Anyway, I think I might fire it up again real quick. By the way, it passed a test. Besides the fact that it's pushing out the overflow for no apparent reason, which is why it's steaming, it's not overheating. It got up to about 190, and I flipped the fan on. And I sat there in the truck and let it idle for a bit, and I watched the temp gauge come right back down. So I was like, oh, that's good. At least it does that. So I might, I don't know, I might just kind of pull that off and plug that in. And I think total timing right now is at like something ridiculous, like 38 degrees, which is a little high. We'll back that down to 36 if we get this thing tuned up. But for whatever reason, man, this thing's probably got junk like spark plugs in it. It likely needs a tune-up. So I'm going to fire it up again real quick, probably off camera. Coolant all over everything. You see the little droplets all over everything. That's irritating. You'd think this thing would have pushed enough water out to even it out, but nope. Oh well. Yeah, that was a real bad idea. Putting the vacuum advance on. Oh, that did not work as planned. Because this thing probably should be at, I want to say, probably 12 initial, 34, 36 degrees. Probably be safe with 93 octane. But when I plugged the vacuum advance in, it was just, hey, there's vacuum. Here's a bunch of advance. I read it and it was off the it was off the scale. I revved it up to $2,000 and the thing said, here goes 50, goodbye, and it's like 60. I'm like, nope. Unplugged. I'm like, you can sit at 38 tops, okay? That's way better than 50, 60. I'll just bring it back down a hair when I get a chance. So this thing probably needs a tune up. Fresh plugs would do it a lot of good. I don't know if we hurt the plugs at all with all these carburetor changes and attempts and stuff. She runs kind of poopy. That'll be a road test situation, but I got to get some carb cleaner and hose down all this because, golly, I mean, antifreeze is the worst because it does not evaporate. So at least when it's warmed up, it runs okay. Getting it to warm up is kind of the problem, but when it warms up, I got it to a point where you rev it up and it comes down from revs. I did have to take a load of turns out of the idle mixture screws just to deal with the amount of vacuum this thing is pulling. And that way, at least I could compensate with taking idle, like static idle out of it. And now when I shut it off, it doesn't like cough or diesel or anything. And when I rev it up, it comes right back down. So the throttle blades are closing appropriately, and it runs at about 1,000 RPM at idle-ish, 960, something like that. When I pull it into gear, she bogs a little bit, but it's really not that bad. So for now, I'm just going to leave it. I'll find some plugs for it and stuff, but we'll focus our attention over into the interior because we don't really have anything else to do. I'm waiting on the damn turn signal stock to show up from Oregon, and that's going to be here Saturday, and that's a real kind of pain, but I figure at least we can get to work on the inside because now the paint's dry. I'd covered some holes up with some license plates, which apparently, if you're in the collectible world, license plates go for money. Like, you could sell those for like 15 to 20 bucks a piece, which apparently I'm sitting on a gold mine here because I've got more than I can count, and I even have more up in the rafters. So I don't really care about money, so that's why I self-tappered them straight to the floor. I think we're going to put the door cards and handles in. We're going to put a lot of this stuff in. We're going to try getting some carpet laid down. I'd love to go to my local auto parts store that offers like generic floor mats and just start laying just generic carpet floor mats in here just because it'll at least save a lot of the wear and tear on this felt that they call carpet, which is not carpet. So I'm going to let this place air out though because I'm losing brain cells by the second and there ain't going to be much left after this. And of course, wouldn't you know it, the second I hook up an overflow jug, it doesn't push water. Of course. What I did was I bought this, and it's like this really thin stuff, right? It's not like thin, it's got a little bit of stuff to it, but I figured in this instance it would actually work pretty good. I'm going to clean this rail up here around this edge and all the way down, and probably just, you know, make sure it's nice and clean enough that something will stick to it. But take it, run it all the way around, because the body is pretty darn close in this spot. If you shut the door, look at that. That is right on top of each other. So I figured that would be a really easy way for us to keep a lot of the rain and wind and all sorts of stuff from getting in to that gap, because I don't know if I could really get new weather stripping to fit, especially here because it's this weird stuff you got to pinch onto this one little gap here, and I don't know if that would even work right now. It kind of looks like poop, so I'm just going to go with what I got. And this was really cheap anyway. And it's got, looks like 3M adhesive, so hey, can't be that bad. For today, though, I think I'm going to get out of here because I've been bombarded with fumes I got 3M glue fumes going through my head right now. I feel actually a little woozy, and I'm just murdering brain cells as I speak, but there ain't much left there to lose, so I'm not going to chance anymore because I kind of need what I got left. So I'm going to get out of here, let it air out for a bit. I'll come back tomorrow. We'll get to work on something else. Maybe we'll crawl under it, paint it, because it needs to be painted. This frame is bare and it's rusty. If I just spray it with Rust-Oleum, that should be fine. And I think I want to put door cards and stuff in it while we wait. So we'll figure it out tomorrow. Okay, it is actually a couple days later. I spent the entire day after work yesterday working on my daily driver because, well, apparently it succumbed to the infamous Chrysler Tipham failure. Mechanics out there will know what I'm talking about. So I got a new one of those on the way. Till that happens, I'm back to work on this, and we're going to keep going until I get my turn signal stock, which is literally like one of the only things I have left to put in this truck before it's actually kind of roadworthy, if I'm honest. I'd love to get the damn switch for the vacuum wipers fixed. I do feel like I'm not going to run that vacuum advance on the carburetor, so I might actually be able to use that port if I can. Or I can pipe it off the one in the front that's bigger and put a larger hose over it and sleeve it. I don't really know at this point, but I'm thinking out loud. So I got to get to a couple of major details, I think, today. Now, when I was here last, we went through and we completely put all the new carpeting and sound deadening material in the truck. But I overlooked one very serious detail. The truck kind of has some of nature's ventilation. And if you look close enough, that goes inside. Yeah, see? You can look right inside through the hole. There's a few of these. There's one here. There's a big set of it here. I mean, a few of them I'll just cover up with something, but they need to be taken care of because if it rains, we're going to get wet, and I do not want water pouring all over the floor if I don't have to have it. Now, clearly, this thing is not going to be completely watertight, given its age and the amount of nature's lightness that's been added to it, but we can at least mitigate some of it, especially over here. I mean, that's kind of a lot. You can see the channel right here, kind of going up, kind of going across. That was where they, well, frankly, screwed the weather stripping in, which was just a brilliant design, thanks 1950s GM. But we need to go through and fix some of this. Now, if I was a little lazier, I probably would have just taken and sanded over this and taken some, like, fiberglass body filler and just throwing it right over it, sanded it, and called it a day, and spray painted it black. This is a little too big, though. That is going to need a lot of help. But we also have to go through this thing and just kind of paint it. Like, we got to get into the frame, wire brush at least the flaky bits of rust off of it, kind of like this, just the little flakes and stuff, and just kind of rust prevent a little bit because there ain't a lot frame left, but it's not exactly rotted through where it counts. So if we can do some preventative measures before we actually get this thing put down onto the road, that would be great. And given the fact that the flood has receded for the most part, except I think I left my dehumidifier off, I think we should at least get on the ground, get under it, start at least trying to paint this thing. I don't know, maybe we should wait for a warmer day because it's only like 40 today, but we got a couple days coming up where it's going to be like 60 degrees and we can just jump right under here and start painting stuff. I mean, look, this ain't that bad, but back there, it kind of is. Well, it's a lot better than it was. I think for safety's sake, I might take some black silicone and just right around the edge there. I put one right over top of this one. I said, you know what, I'm not cutting it out. I'll just slap one over it and hope for the best. Grabbed the old can of Rust-Oleum and gave the firewall a little spritz just to get her nice and dolled up. Well, I wouldn't say nice, but it is one color now. Otherwise, I think it's time to keep moving. We got to keep getting under here. If I could find my damn wire brush, that would be great to get under there and get all the particles in my face and do all of that. But I haven't done the other side yet either. There's still a gaping hole over there in that corner. I'll probably focus on that pretty soon. I don't know if I'll do that off camera or not because that's a big one. Like, I cleaned it up a bit, but man, look at this. This thing is pretty damn big. This is bigger than my thumb. And the metal, well, that's not metal. That is Bondo. As is pretty much the entire side of the truck is Bondo. And I'm not kidding. It's everywhere. So, we're just going to figure out what to do with this. Even if it is slap a piece of aluminum tape over it and paint it. I don't really know at this point. That's going to be easy. That's going to be easy. We'll just slap a piece over it and weld it because clearly that's kind of the theme on this truck. But this one's really going to stink because there's not going to be anything to weld to on this edge. I don't know what happened to this truck, but this corner must have got caved in at some point by something because, man, it is really thick. I mean, that's at least a 1/4 inch of Bondo. Whatever, we'll get to it when we get to it. Well, it's coated, I guess. I threw a coat of paint on that, on the frame rails, on the rear end, as much as I could under here. I did not finish. Boy, the fumes are getting to me. Really should have put a respirator on. That was stupid, but at least I had the fan on and it was sucking all the air out of here, so. I did get a little bit froggy while I was waiting, though. Threw the door cards on. And some of the handles for the interior. That works. This is a little sticky about halfway down, so you gotta kind of like go like that and just kind of keep working with, you know, if you got two hands, it'll actually go down, but hopefully with a little bit of effort, it'll just keep going. But you know, they work. See, at least you got the window down. And it's actually like when you put your elbow up, it's like a 90-degree angle. So it's like the perfect height. By the way, vent windows work, which is pretty sweet. So, that's not so bad. All right. She's coming along. And she's coming along really well. We just got to get the enough finishing touches to get it out of here. Now, I hate being honest at this very moment, but I really kind of have to. It is March. Matter of fact, it is a few days into March. You'll notice that we go racing, or we start racing again, let's just say that, at the end of April. What's not in the garage getting worked on right now? The race car. What's still in here? That thing. It's not that I don't want to work on the truck, it's just that I have other things going on right now that are kind of priorities. And this poor thing might have to move. Luckily, we're at a point where it can, which is really good. That's kind of where I wanted it to be. I knew we weren't going to finish it. It's never going to be finished. A project vehicle or any project like this is never finished. You're always working on something. But I do need to get the other car in here, which is why I think I'm going to wait until at least we get the turn signal stock in and the lights working. If that turn signal stock I bought works and the lights work, this thing's going outside that week. Probably next week, if I had to guess. Because, like I said, time's a little short, and I'm going on vacation like the week before we go racing. So it's like, yeah, I'm now 1 week shorter than I expected to be. So this thing's got to get out of here. Speaking of getting out of here, I got to get out of here because I am done with the fumes. This has been a really thick on the fumes episode. And not only just paint, but everything else. But, you know, I am proud of our progress. I mean, like I said, when we're at this point where if we, hook the battery up first, but if we sit in the seat, we could turn the key and drive the truck the hell out of here. It'll move, stop, turn, everything on its own. Which is pretty amazing if you think about it. I mean, one guy working in his shop took a truck with absolutely nothing. No rear suspension, the front suspension not fixed, no fenders, no engine, no transmission, no rear end, nothing, no electrics, no plumbing, to a moving, working, driving vehicle in one winter. That's pretty awesome. So either tomorrow or next video, I'm going to be panic assembling this thing. Like, front bumper's going to go on. Whenever the light stock shows up, we're going to stuff that in. I got a bunch of wire connectors in from Temu that work. If they work, I'm not going to, poo-poo a $5 item instead of paying way too much for it. And as soon as the snow gets out of the way enough for us to back a trailer in here, that race car is getting unloaded, and we're putting a body on it and getting it ready. But we'll have to figure that all out later, and I'll see you tomorrow. All right, next day, I got a couple of minutes I can squeeze in out here before I got to go. And I want to finish up a couple of minor interior things while I got the chance. I got a shifter ball. I think I paid $18 for this thing off of Amazon. It feels like a pool cue. It genuinely does. And I think that this thread actually fits on here. But the thread is a little gummed up. So what I want to do is just kind of run a tap down this real quick just to clean her up and plop this on, and that'll be done. And it'll actually look pretty killer if you ask me, especially when you're trying to shift and you're not jamming a threaded rod into your hand. After that, I was going to think about the door sills, actually, as the door kills me as it closes. I still got to get the card and the handles on this door, but I want to try to get some door sill created for this thing. Now, what I have for that is something that doesn't go with this truck. We got these that my dad got somewhere. I don't know what they're out of. They might be a 80s Buick or Monte Carlo. It's got the Body by Fisher logo sitting there. What I was thinking of doing is just kind of taking this and cutting the edge off here and bending it again, like flattening it here, and then just using this as like a kick panel, and then just a little bit of a lip on the inside. So just kind of take this and kind of hold it flat and then roll the top over so that it covers that little strip of carpet right there, and it adds a little decorative touch along the edge that we could polish up. Hopefully the door shuts if I put it in there, though. So if it doesn't, we put new air holes in the homemade rocker. So I have a little update. I went and looked through the bed, and I found these. They almost look like you're supposed to use these. Oh, man. All right, so I guess I'm not going to be making one out of this disgusting thing. I'm going to be using these nicer ones that I accidentally bent, but I can hammer it back into shape. So that'll save me a bit of time. Not too shabby, I'll tell you what. Just going to clean up some of this sound deadening material that looks like it's left over. We just take a knife to that and clean that up. But, yeah, she looks great. I mean, the shifter ball is tremendous. Now it's actually comfortable to shift gears in this thing. So that's good. We still got to add that door trim there. We got to clean this up. Got to figure something out for this, too, because the gas tank ain't there no more. But interior, gosh. Oh, by the way, I do have floor mats coming. They're just generic. But I got 4-seater car floor mats. So you have the big one, but I got little ones. So I'm going to take the little ones and just kind of put them in the middle and then use the big one on the side. Should cover up all the little gaps and give us a little extra protection and maybe a little bit more sound deadening, even though I can literally see through the dashboard where the heater core is. Also, I got to put this door card on, but we can do that at some other point. That's an off-camera type of deal, like pretty much everything else has been today, because I'm so short on time I can't even set the cameras up. Speaking of short on time, I am. So I have to call it for this week. I have to actually have time to edit this video and get it out to you guys and do family stuff along the way. That's why I'm not wearing a hat. I don't want hat head when I go out to eat tonight. So this is also going to be an announcement. This is the second to last video on this truck for now. Clearly we're not done. Clearly we still have a lot to do, but that's the fun part of a project, is that you can take this and just kind of work on it at any pace, I guess. But next week, unfortunately, the parts that I needed for the turn signal stalk to fix that, which is kind of the last part that we have for all the major stuff, like getting the brake lights to work and the turn signals and stuff, that's not here, and it's not going to be here till Monday, which is when this video is coming out. So when that comes in, we're going to try to put that in and at least button up a couple more small items to finish this truck up for now. Clearly, like I said, we have a lot to do, but racing season's kind of coming up very quickly. I'm going to have a month, maybe less, to get my race car ready. It's mostly ready. I just have to put a body on it, play with the setup a little bit, and de-winterize it. So this thing's got to go. I have to go get sheet metal, and I have to get the race car in here. So thank you guys for hanging in there on this project with me. We've gotten it to the point where I could put the battery on, turn the key, and move it. That's pretty much job one. That was what I wanted, and I wanted this project to be mostly done. It's about like, when I get the turn signals working, brake lights, gosh, it'll be like 90%. That's pretty darn good for one guy in his shop when he has barely any free time. But again, next video is going to be the last one on this one for a while. We're going to move it outside and put about 50 tarps over it so it doesn't get all ruined by the outdoors. And the race car's coming back. So make sure you subscribe and tell your friends to get some people over here, because racing's coming back, like I said. And we were surprisingly successful last year. So this year promises to be even better. I'm looking forward to it greatly, and I hope you guys come along on the ride with me, and a lot of you come back, because I know a lot of you took this project off. So if you'd like to help the channel besides subscribing, please go to the merch store, GleasonBrosRacing.com. We've got shirts, hats, koozies, tumblers, stickers. I'm working on some other stuff, and hopefully I can have that on pretty quick before the spring hits and before racing season hits. That would be great. So that is a direct help to me. That money actually gets into my pocket, which is great. So anyways, guys, until next time, I greatly appreciate every single one of you. Thank you again. We'll see you.